Hey, dude, you're not online. What's up? What are you doing over there? Are those great herons or cranes? I wonder.
Huh?
Are those herons or cranes?
Uh-huh. It's a heron, he said.
It's a great heron?
Yeah.
It's got me down in a hole here. Come on, Joe. Get online. rebooting. Tell me this isn't working.
You know how fast they grow. He still gets fed by his parents. He moves it around and drink it like the dogs do.
Joe, you're killing me. Are you there? Joe? Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You got to learn those buttons, buddy.
Had the wrong mic on here for some reason.
Oh my God.
But no
Ken.
mas.
No doubt
It
it's
has been
Ken.
defeated.
It's Ken's fault.
Nah, I won't blame him. I don't do that.
You're a nice guy.
How you doing?
I'm okay. How do I sound?
Talk a little bit.
Talk a little bit. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm hearing a little something in the background there.
Well, that's because I'm out. I'm doing a live show out in the yard of a bed and breakfast in Lake Helen.
Oh, well, if that's what's going on, you sound great.
So you've got ambient sounds, and I've got a couple of three great herons that want to get in on the show, so they'll be wandering in and out of the video. But I can't get my damn video working. I don't know what's wrong. I can't get Restream up and going.
What sort of error message is it giving you?
It's not. It's a different dashboard than it was last week, and so I'm trying to figure out where the heck. And then I've got a help window that's popped up here, and I can't get rid of it.
So what I've found with Restream is that the key is you have to sign out of it and then sign back in with, if you're using Chrome, sign back in with incognito. If you're using Edge, then whatever the hidden version is. Basically, you want to sign in with the browser that doesn't cache anything because it retains the previous cache.
Okay. Well, I'll sign out then and try it and see.
Yeah. What browser are you using?
Google Chrome.
Okay, so then yeah, incognito mode should clear it out and then allow you to put whatever other credentials you need to.
All right, let me try that.
Those are what the Restream people told us to do, and then it seemed to work.
Let's see, how do I get to my incognito window? Let's see, is that the right?
Yeah, you could right-click on it,
Let's see.
usually on the icon.
I see new tab, new window, history, destinations.
Usually open in incognito mode or new window in incognito mode.
Where is incognito mode?
Or on the browser itself, if you have a regular browser open, there's usually the three dots on the right-hand side, upper part of the screen, and that allows you to go to open a new browser window or tab in incognito mode as well.
Oh, new window? Oh, new incognito window, yeah.
There you go.
Okay, now I got it. Okay, now what do I do?
Now you go to Restream and basically put in all your information, and it'll start everything all over again. So whatever it is that's retaining from last time should clear out. Assuming that this is the problem that you're facing. I'm just guessing here.
We shall see.
Yeah, you sound great for being on location.
Well, it's because I got the great equipment, dude.
Yo. As far as music is concerned, do you still do a featured song every time?
I sent you a text, but I sent it on Salem, Tampa.
Okay, let me see if I can chase it down.
Okay, now I'm good. Now we're streaming. Are you there, Joe?
I am now.
Okay, good. Yeah, I got it up and going. Yeah, that worked.
Good.
Perfect.
All right.
All right, man. So we're doing a show in what, 8 minutes?
More like 10.
10? What do you?
Well, like
dude,
9.
you guys are cutting more and more into my airtime with your ads. I know
Well,
that.
you know how we roll.
I know she's that Mary. She's sneaky. I'm gonna have to talk with Steve.
There you go.
All right, I'm gonna grab a cup of Joe. I'll be right back.
Sounds good.
And we'll do a show, baby.
I think that's a plan.
You got it.
You now have to go and try to apply all of these things to a market that's already saturated with a lot of different real estate agents who've been in the business for a long time. So I'm not saying it's entirely like the restaurant business, but it's close. The attrition rate is terrible. And, and I've been saying it for a while now. I think the state of Florida has been happy to take people's money. And I think that the real estate schools have been happy of taking people's money. And I think the problem is you have an oversaturated state because with real estate agents. And therefore, it's, I think they should make the testing harder. I think we should try to separate the pack a little more and maybe make those licenses worth more. But again, once the state gets used to a certain income level, good luck trying to tell the state this is an area that we're going to cut in order to try to make this more valuable.
And it may or may not, as you said earlier, make you a better agent. I mean, it's a like, trust, and
well, you're right. I mean,
relationship development.
It's a relationship business, and it will always be that. And that's one of the reasons why these brokerages that are digital only, I think you've missed something.
Yep.
I think you've missed the point. It's a people business, and and largely, you still need to talk to people. And I still think there's a big gap taking place right now where we're trying to do it all apart. And I think that you're not asking these people to go buy shoes. They're going out to buy the largest purchase of their life. And you're doing, and what I think is crazy about this is people act as if they have something more important to do in their life than worry about the largest asset they'll ever buy.
So I think you should go look at it. There should be a showing. You should see what you're buying, because if you don't, buyer beware. Don't come back and say, well, I didn't go to that. If things are planned and you see it, you know what you're getting.
Right.
And so you don't change something at the 11th hour. And if you don't do your due diligence and check on that property, don't come back and say, well, I didn't see it and I don't know. You put up your money, and, it kind of reminds me of, buying, who's our super rich man who wants to buy Twitter? Elon. He now says, and he's probably right, is it 5% robot or is it over 20% robot? And if it is, maybe he's not buying something as valuable as he wants.
And that's all fine, except read your contract.
But if you signed a contract, you're probably going to be on the hook to pay some of the money.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure that's going to be litigated for years and years and years and years and become a case study. But the point is that, if you signed an agreement that waived your rights to do your due diligence, which it sounded like that's what he did, then what you're doing now is you've decided that the shoes hurt your feet and you want to return them, even though the shoe store told you no returns.
So good luck on that one.
Right.
We'll see how that plays out. Now, being one of the richest men in the world, or the richest man in the world, may make a difference in being able to use your power.
I hope not. I hope that he has to play by the rules of the contract. I mean, again, I think he's absolutely right for wanting to back out. And to tell you the truth, even if he pays the $1 billion penalty, which is what was written into the contract, it would be cheaper than overpaying for a company that isn't being truthful about what it is.
Yeah. Well,
so I think that makes a lot of sense to just go ahead and say, all right, well, I hate throwing, good money after bad, but look at how much money I would have spent on a company that's just way overvalued.
Yeah, and there should be some honesty with these companies of
how
many are real and how many are not.
We're broadcasting right now on Facebook Live, and I guarantee you Facebook probably has hundreds of millions, if not billions, of fake accounts. And, it's one of the reasons why it's hard to take Facebook advertising seriously, because did a bot click on it, or was it a person?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, I don't think a bot's going to buy a home.
Right, and that's the problem, is that I'm kind of shocked that issue hasn't been pressed harder than if my little brain can come up with that as an issue. I'm a little shocked that hasn't been thought of by class action lawyers.
Well, they're probably out there we're speaking, going,
this post will get flagged for sure.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, it has been a fun show and a fun hour, and we so have enjoyed talking on the radio too with you. And I'll let you take it away.
We're going to mention to you, don't forget, we've got a live auction coming up. If you want to know more about that property, give me a call, 727-423-4794, and make sure you enjoy your life and garden just as much as possible.
Interested in having a home consult? Remember, you can reach Stan at 727-423-4794 or on the web at AskMrGreenThumb.com.
Odyssey. News, insight, passion. FM 93.7, AM 860, W229DJ, WGUL, Dunedin. The Answer.
Doc, I know I'm cutting it close here. Is it possible to send that song to this Skype account? Because that other one just doesn't want to cooperate with me.
Sure. Let me see if I can do it.
All right.
If not, you got shit you can pull.
Yup.
All right. Hang on. Give me a second.
All right. All right, it came through.
All right, make sure that you can get to it.
This OneDrive is not cooperating with me here. I'm
Okay,
probably gonna have to go with something here that we have.
Well, I can get it online too, so
Okay.
it's easier to get it online. Let's see if I can get it in that OneDrive account incognito. Pain in the ass. Ah, crap, it's making me sign in. Just go with whatever you got.
All right.
I don't feel like screwing around with this. Too late in the show, or too late before the show, or the show will go.
Are you here? Are you hearing the feed come down?
No, I don't hear anything yet.
Okay, that would make sense because you're still on satellite. You're gonna hear it, and it coming up in about 15 seconds.
Okay. I'm all about it. I'm all over it. I'm all for it.
Because no matter what, and no matter where, you need the truth. And specifically, if you're listening from Newport Richey to St. Petersburg or from Tampa to the coast, you can get the answer on FM 93.7. Always on AM 860, online at theanswertampa.com. And depending on where you are, on FM 93.7.
Moss Nissan is simply the best when it comes to selling your vehicle. That's right, selling your vehicle. We want to buy your car, truck, or SUV even if you don't buy from us. With the huge demand in the market right now for pre-owned vehicles, we are paying way above book value in some cases. And it's easy to find out what we would pay. Just go to our website, enter the year, make, model, and VIN number, and get an offer. And just like that, we'll even come to you with a check in hand. Turn your car into cash today. Moss Nissan, whatever it takes.
The following program is sponsored by Bay Area Medical Can Care Clinic.
Odyssey.
Here is your exclusive Accuweather Forecast.
Today, mostly cloudy and humid. A heavy thunderstorm late this afternoon. Our high today at 93. Thunderstorm around early this evening. Otherwise cloudy. Low tonight 78. Partly sunny. Heavy thunderstorm for tomorrow. The high at 92. Tomorrow night partly cloudy. Low 76. And then Tuesday partly sunny. The high Tuesday at 93. That's your Accuweather Forecast. I'm Steve Williams for AM 860. The Answer.
All right, Doc, your mic is hot.
Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Bill, your radio MD. We're coming at you on AM 860, The Answer. 97 point what, Joe?
That would be 93.7.
93.7 FM, and that's in the Tampa Bay area. We're also streaming live, I hope. I'm doing a special show today from Lake Helen, Florida. We're on a little mini vacation, and so I'm going to give you guys a little history on this area and give a little shout out to the proprietors here at the Cabin on the Lake Bed and Breakfast. Oh boy, nice people. Hugo and Olga. Hugo is from Miami, and Olga is originally from the Ukraine, and we chit-chatted a little bit. Her mother's over in the Ukraine, and I guess she called her mother last night rather, and talked with her. I heard them on the phone, although my Ukrainian's not that good, Joe. Oh wait, here's our proprietor now. Hey, what you up to, Hugo? So we've also got in the background 3 or 4 great herons that are wandering around, and they're picking at me occasionally. And I was hoping Olga would come out and tell us what's going on in the Ukraine, but I don't think she will. She's probably too afraid to be on the radio. But at any rate, we've got a really beautiful room here at Cabin on the Lake in Lake Helen, which is actually part of DeLand. It's its own little town, but it was founded by the same guy that founded DeLand. And by the way, his name was DeLand. And he founded this city back in the 1870s. And did you know, Joe, that DeLand was the first city in Florida to have electricity?
Is that right?
That's their little known fact. And I think in 2012, some politically correct group went after them because they have some Christian symbol in their city emblem, and they demanded that it be taken down, and I think that DeLand gave them the bird. And so then that was it. You know, you can stand up to the left. It's not hard. All you got to do is say, no, we're not going to do that, and see what happens. They're not going to do anything. Like my son says, if there's a civil war, they won't show up.
Right.
So at any rate, we're at this beautiful cabin on the lake, and DeLand is a nice little town. That's where Stetson University is, which was founded by DeLand. And then he went bankrupt. He came down here to dabble in real estate in orange groves, and he paid a bunch of people to come down. You know, you couldn't even get to the DeLand area in the 1870s except by steamboat. Did you know that, Joe? You could not get here. The density of the vegetation was too great. There were no roads.
How about that?
Isn't that cool? So at any rate, so then he started a school down here, and it turned into, one of his friends came down and took over for him when he went broke, because the orange crop froze and people bellied up, and so he went back to the Northeast, wherever he was from. And his friend Stetson stayed on for a while and had the first private university in Florida, Stetson University, and the first law school in Florida, which is, you know where that is.
Tell everybody that doesn't know.
It is in Gulfport, Florida. It's right down the street. Right down the street from me. It's been there since I think the 1930s, 1920s. It was the first law school in Florida, and Stetson was the first private college in Florida, and now it's a university. Nice campus. We looked around it. So this is a beautiful area. You're close to Daytona Beach. You're about 30 minutes north of Orlando. And of course, you have all the lake country here. Joe, the lake country is just gorgeous. You know, you don't think of Florida as having hills, but we do. We do in the central part of the state. And there are lakes everywhere. Yesterday we went to the Blue Spring State Park, which is in DeLand, and we rode our bicycles on the trail from one park to another. If you see me moving around on the screen, folks, it's because there's bugs out here in the yard coming after me, so I'm going to have to swat them from time to time. And we rented a kayak, and we paddled up into the headwaters of the stream where the stream actually comes out. It dumps into the St. John River, which is a good-sized river, big enough for a steamboat, buddy. And we saw manatees and gars and carp and all kinds of animals up there. So it's a really nice place. So if you have a chance, if you have an opportunity, grab a weekend at the cabin on the lake in Lake Helen, or if you don't like bed and breakfasts, they've got some nice hotels in DeLand as well. Not very big, but I think it's about 37,000 people. So at any rate, you heard about this guy out in California that killed 2 cops. Did you hear about that, Joe?
It's a sad state of affairs out here today.
I think that was El Monte, California, and the guy actually who killed the 2 cops, he was some thug. He was a gang member, a gangbanger, and he had been arrested for weapons violations, and of course they didn't do anything to him. They just let him go because they said they were nonviolent arrests, nonviolent crimes. Wait a minute, owning a gun is a nonviolent crime? When did that start, Joe? I'm like, what? The guy should have been in jail for 2 or 3 years. He'd already had some other arrests, and he ended up killing himself. And he's got all these. They've got his picture. He's got all the tattoos and all that on his face. Oh my! What's going on out there? It's a mess. I'm just so disappointed. I guess this is that Gascon guy out there in L.A. area, and I think that they're suing him. I think people are suing him and taking him to court for not enforcing the law and causing people to die, you know, and that's, well, they should. That's what they should be doing.
Yeah, that seems like a reasonable complaint.
Yeah, you know, if my family is killed because of your stupidity, then you're liable, in my opinion. And that's something that we need to go after these guys for. You know, if we don't go after them, Joe, we're not going to get, they're going to take over, but we have to keep after them. We have to keep hammering away at the left and at these crazy people and get them out. Get them out. It's time. We've had enough. I think we're going to have a tsunami in November with the midterm elections. At least I'm hopeful.
Yeah, we'll see. I think, I was talking with my dad about this yesterday. Of course, happy Father's Day to everybody out there, and to you, Doc. But
cool, thank you.
Absolutely. There's a lot of races that people don't necessarily pay a lot of attention to that they probably should, given everything happening, such as what you're describing. Like Secretary of State, those types of offices are really, really important, and they actually can end up being the enforcement arms of a lot of these things, exactly what you're talking about. So,
That's right. So we need the right people in the right positions, and we have to vote. In some states, the Attorney General is an elected office, and the county officials and judges in Florida, we elect our Supreme Court judges, I think.
Yeah, in some cases we do. It depends on the state, depends on a variety of things.
Yeah.
Also, school board. That's also huge.
Oh, that's huge. That's huge. And you know what has happened, Joe, is with the Trump tax changes in 2017, 2016, 2017, the ability to write off $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 worth of property tax, personal property tax, it went away. There's a cap now. It's, I don't know, 10 or 12,000 total for your property and your local taxes. And so all these people up in the Northeast and out in California that were paying. I'm sorry, say.
You got to call coming in. Just go.
Okay. So all these people that were paying, were getting a write-off on their taxes for their real estate, all of a sudden they couldn't do that anymore, and they said, wait a minute, where am I putting all this money? What am I doing with all this money? So you're putting money into your state, your county, your city, and you don't know what's being done with it, and all of a sudden people are saying, we better get involved, and that's a good thing. But it's also leveled out the real estate around the country, especially Florida has really benefited from that. So, you say you got a call coming in, Joe?
The gentleman, I think, was confused. He hung up right away.
Oh, okay. So, well, speaking of confusion, I had a patient in the hospital with a diabetic foot ulcer. You know what that is? No, you don't. So I'll tell you. It's a opening in the skin, and it gets infected. And this happens because the blood supply in diabetics is poor after they've had diabetes for a long period of time. They end up with clogged arteries, both big arteries and little arteries, and they also lose their sense of feeling in their feet, and so they traumatize their feet. And this guy wasn't taking care of himself. He wouldn't take diabetic medicine, so now he's convinced. Ended up with an infection in the bone in his foot, and the surgeon had to go in and clean that out. So he'll be on antibiotics for 4 to 6 weeks. He's going home with an IV in his arm, and he's got a mess going on there. So it's important to take care of that diabetes and that hypertension, and to take care of your health, Joe. Take care of yourself. And you know how you can do that the best?
How's that?
By coming to see Dr. Bill, your
That's
radio
not a
MD.
That is not a bad idea.
727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. So the war in the Ukraine is going on, and I'm staying at a Ukrainian's bed and breakfast. And by the way, the guy with the foot ulcer, he's also Ukrainian. And I said to him, why aren't you back home fighting? He said, I'm too old and sick. I said, that's a fact, Jack. But I think the Ukrainians are going to hang on forever. They're not giving up. And that's a good thing. And I saw an interview with one of the Russian newsmen who defected, and he was a protester when Putin first came in back in 2000, and he did an interview with one of the Ukrainian newspapers, and I read the article. You know me, I'm curious, so I look around and see what's going on in the world. And he said that he's ashamed of his country, and that Putin was nothing but a thug and a murderer, and that it was the end of democracy once he got elected. And you know, that's really too bad, because Russia is a big country and has a humongous effect on the world. And now Putin's lambasting us, saying the U.S. is acting like God's messenger, and claims that the world order is changing, and he's going to change it. He's going to change it by what? Attacking NATO? I don't think so. Good luck with that. So he says that the United States is the real bad guy, and that all this came about because of our unwillingness to respect their territorial integrity. Wait a minute, I didn't know they owned the Ukraine. Do they own that? I thought that was an independent country. And they say they don't want NATO on their border. Well, they already got NATO on their border. They got Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia on their border. And now they're going to have Finland. I'm not quite sure what this guy's smoking, but apparently it's not very good stuff.
Well, it's more like, you know, if you assert yourself and say this is the way that it is, then you hope that everybody will, you know, kowtow to you or bow to you or whatever, and it's not apparently working for them.
No, it's not working. And we've got some pictures now of some of the U.S. military veterans who were captured in Ukraine on Russian TV now. I guess they're showcasing them, you know, like the Romans did. They'd march their prisoners up the streets and then they'd kill them. So the Russians won't do that. They'll march them up the street, then they'll send them to Siberia and let them die a natural death in the cold. Work them to death. And so I was talking with Olga yesterday, the shopkeeper here, the owner, and she was talking with her mother, and I guess her mother's town was being shelled while they were talking. It's hard to believe. They're actually targeting the civilian population, Joe. The Russians are targeting the civilian population. I mean, what have the Ukrainians done to the Russians? I don't know, nothing really, but Putin's got the country whipped up, and I guess now he's in it too deep, and if he tries to end it now, the oligarchs are going to kill him, and if he keeps it up, they're not going to be happy either because they're losing their properties around the world and their monies. I'm sure they have plenty hidden, but still, you don't want the people that are supporting you to decide. In Russia, you know, a decision is often fatal. It's not like we're going to vote you out. It's like we're going to kill you, and you're going to be dead, and that's
right.
The end of it. And they do that. They do that to each other, and they've been doing that for 1,000 years. And they're just, you know, they've been barbarians for 1,000 years, and they still are. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it was a Tsar or Stalin or Putin. It doesn't matter if it was Catherine the Great. She killed her own husband. Did you know that? She killed her own husband, and she killed her husband's, I think it was his son, her grandson. I can't remember. Whoever was in line for the throne, they had him locked up for 2 decades, and then she had him killed. Just unbelievable. And she wasn't even a Russian. She was a German who came to Russia to marry the Tsar, and then killed her own husband. They have to be stopped, Joe. They have to be stopped. By the way, I'm coming to you from the beautiful Lake Helen area, which is near DeLand, Florida. We're at the cabin on the lake, bed and breakfast. The wife and I are up here for a little quickie getaway. And beautiful time of the day here. It's not too hot yet, but it's going to be hot again, Joe. We were in the 90s, mid-90s yesterday and the day before. I don't know how it was down in St. Pete. I'm sure it was the same. But we've got this heat wave. I'm hopeful that it will abate here soon. I am weary with the heat. Meanwhile, down in Uvalde, officials are using a legal loophole to block the release of the shooting records. The police department is using a state loophole. Apparently, if there's no charges filed, and there weren't charges filed because the guy was shot dead, so he was dead before they could file charges, then the police don't have to release any information regarding the attempted arrest. And so now the townsfolk are suing the police department in the city to try to get the records released, and they want to see what went on and why there was supposedly an hour delay, but who knows the real story until we get all the records. So it might be years before we find out the whole truth about this. But this legal loophole is apparently blocking the town folk from finding out exactly what the police response was and when it happened. And I think that accountability here is important, but I also think that the integrity of the police department has to be respected. I don't know where the middle road is there. I'm not quite sure what would be at risk if you revealed the details of the operation. I mean, if you made a mistake, you apologize for it, and you take your lawsuits and you move on. And I'm sure that that little town doesn't have much in the way of assets. So, what are they going to get? You're probably protected if you're a policeman or a city elected official or an employee. You're probably protected from liability for the most part. So I'm not quite sure what their fear is. Maybe the FBI is looking into it first and doesn't want anything revealed. But there are 148 public records that have been requested, and so far not a thing has come out. And the city has not voluntarily released any information to a member of the public, and they won't until they're certain that they're on high legal ground. So I don't know what all this means, but I do know one thing. This is not a reason to attack the Second Amendment. This is a reason to enforce the laws that are already on the books. There's plenty of laws, Joe, plenty of laws, guys, that will address these crazy young people, young men, and we'll get that. And this guy was on the radar already, the shooter, just like the kid was over in Fort Lauderdale, and the shooting that happened a few years back. And as you recall, the sheriff, Israel, he was fired by Governor DeSantis within a few weeks of Governor DeSantis taking office for his poor handling of the situation. And he also fired the election overseer, what do you call him, the election czar over in that area. Is that Broward? I think that's Broward County, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely Broward County.
And he took her out too because she was part of the cause of the hanging Chads. She's a dishonest Democrat, of course, but we don't have any dishonest Republicans, as you know. What do you think?
I think that it's probably good to have a healthy skepticism of everything.
I agree, and I have a healthy skepticism of NATO. Are they going to do anything or not? I mean, come on. All we had to do was march in there before the Russians did, and they wouldn't have come in. But now we've got these thugs that are occupying one of the largest countries in Europe. It's a good-sized country. I think the Ukraine may be the biggest, not counting European Russia. But I don't know if it's bigger than Germany. I think it is. I think it's a little bit. I think Germany's a little bit bigger than Poland, and I think it's a little bit bigger than Poland. And this is the breadbasket of Europe for decades, centuries, and it's also a source of oil and gas. It's got a lot of natural resources, good people, hardworking. Go figure. Why didn't we go in early? Somebody tell me. Somebody give me that answer. Somebody tell me. So then we got to look at the other side of the world and say, well, what about Taiwan? Are we going to defend Taiwan? Biden says yes. The White House says no. We don't have a treaty with them to come to their aid militarily. We can send them goods, but we don't have a pact. Let's make a pact. Let's do something to make sure that these people are not taken off the planet, because this is a really rich source of high tech. A lot of the high tech industries are there. You've got the Acer Computer Company, you've got chip manufacturers, and although we probably make the most sophisticated chips still in the United States, they make a huge amount of chips for automobiles and industry and computers, and we need these people. And they're making, according to the latest quarterly world fab forecast released by SEMI on June 13th, Taiwan is expected to lead global spending on semiconductor production equipment this year with a 52% increase to $34 billion. South Korea is coming in a close second. And we're way behind. So, we're dependent on these people. And if we don't take care of the people that we're dependent on, if we don't look out for them and stand up for them, then guess what? Our supplies are going to get thinner and thinner, and we're going to have to pay more and more. What's happening? We're paying more for everything. Why? Well, it's multifactorial, but part of it is this reliance on China and the Chinese manufacturing ability. And this This is interfering with our ability to...
Thank you.
Sorry about that background noise. We've got people walking around here, so it is a public area, so what can I do?
It sounds like you're doing it.
I'm doing it, man. I'm doing it. I'm on top of it. And so, look, Joe, we have got to stand up for these people. And I know that there are some Republicans who are saying, we're not the policemen of the world. I know Trump said that. That's where I disagree with my party. We are the policemen of the world. And we are in the moral right. And I don't care what anybody says. You know, thuggery and totalitarianism and fascism, these are not good ways to live, and they ultimately end up in chaos and war for the rest of the world. You can't let a small group of people have all the power. It just doesn't work. You know what? You got to spread it around a little bit. Uh-oh. The wife's getting up and leaving. She's had enough of me. Oh, by the way, you know, that whole Korean peace treaty thing, you remember the Korean War?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the wife and I, we're still hammering out I've surrendered, but she wants an unconditional surrender, and I still have terms, so we haven't actually gotten to a full peace treaty yet. But we're working on it, Joe. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Do you at least have a demilitarized zone?
We do have a DMZ. She has her bedroom, and I have mine, and we have connubial visits occasionally in the middle.
Well, that's what's important.
That's what's important, and we cooperate on children and on business and somewhat on food, and that's important to her. The food's very important to the Koreans, you know that. And that is the status of my relationship with Her Highness, the Little Queen of Everything, Lee Myung-ju. In Korea now, your last name comes first, so E is Lee in English, and Myung-ju is her first name, and her middle name. It's all one. And it means bright pearl or bright bead. I call her Little Tyrant, but I don't know the Korean for that yet, so I'll work on that and get back to you on that, Joe.
I'll be expecting
all right. It. Well, here we go now. I don't know if Ken told you about the mug giveaway. Did he tell you?
Oh, I'm familiar with the mug giveaway.
Oh, okay, good. So when we get to break time, I want you to come up with a question, and then after the break, we'll see if we can give the mug away.
Okay.
Okay.
I feel up to that challenge.
You know, Putin says he has nothing against the Ukraine. They're just something he should own. You know, wait a minute. Can you do that? Can you just say, can we just say, oh, we want Mexico now? Is that
well, I guess
legal?
you can do anything if no one stops you, right?
See, that's my point. That's my point. You got to stand up to these thugs. You cannot let them bully. And you know, it's like any bully. He's going to talk real tough and pick on the little kid. But if somebody goes up and punches him in the nose, he's going to run home crying to mama. And you know, the world order is not changing. The world order is not going to change. In fact, if anything, the Europeans are more united now over Ukraine than they have been in decades since they first started the EU and the common market. And you know, to me, that's a pretty amazing fact that the Ukraine has united the rest of Europe. And you know, there's 32 countries in NATO now, and I guess soon to be 34 when Sweden and Finland join. And Sweden's been at peace for 200 years? They've been a pacifist nation for 200 years, and now they want to join NATO, which is for one reason and one reason only: military. That's it, for fighting. So now you know I probably said this on another show, but you may not know this, Joe, so I'll repeat it. Now the Turks who are in NATO, they are upset, and they don't want to let Finland or Sweden in because apparently there's some terrorists that Sweden and Finland have harbored. They're Kurd terrorists, part of the PKK, and I mentioned that last week. So I think they're trying to hammer out the details of that, and I say, hell, give them up. Well, you got a couple of dozen Kurds that were blowing stuff up in eastern Turkey. Give them to the Turks. We got bigger fish to fry here, guys. We got bigger fish to fry. And I don't blame the Swedes or the Finns for trying to enforce some human rights morals and values, but you got to put some common sense into this. You've got to realize that at times you have to make sacrifices, and every great military leader has known this. Even George Washington knew that the Battle of New York was going to be a loser, and he knew he was going to get clobbered, but you know what he said? Joe, he said, they got to get experience somehow.
There you go.
And they did. And they got experience in frontline fighting. They got artillery experience. In fact, Alexander Hamilton, who was a college kid there, or a law student, I can't remember which, he dropped out of school, went to the library, studied artillery, and went down to Battery Park, what's now Battery Park, and he was firing on the British ships as they came in. He was leading a little cannonade battalion down there. So he got his feet wet. That's how you got to do it. I mean, the only way you can learn is to jump in there and do it, and that's what we got to do. And speaking of got to do, what time you got on your watch there, buddy?
It is almost 9:33. It's 9:32.
Why don't we take a coffee break, and Dr. Bill will be right back. Before we go, though, Joe's got a question, and whoever answers it first gets 2 of my beautiful mugs.
All right. Well, this one is, in listening to the conversation today, I thought about, you really, and a lot of what you're describing is America's role in the world. And of course, America's role in the world has been important for a long time. So the question I have, and I think said this on your show before, so it's a little complicated, but it's worth it, I think, for the mug. This prominent World War II era character said the following about the United States. He said, America always does the right thing after it's exhausted all other options. So, if you can tell me who that is, you get a mug. 877-969-8600.
I love it. 877-969-8600. I'm Dr. Bill. I got Joe by my side. I'll be right back.
With SRN News, I'm Michael Harrington in Washington.
All right, we already got a call. We'll see who it is.
Poised to take on new elections case that is being pressed by Republicans. Could increase the power of state lawmakers over races for Congress and the presidency, as well as redistricting. It could also cut state courts out of the question. The issue has arisen repeatedly in cases from North Carolina and Pennsylvania, where Democratic majorities on the state's highest courts have invoked voting protections in their state constitutions. French voters go into the polls today for the final round of key parliamentary elections that will determine how much legroom the electorate is willing to give French President Emmanuel Macron's party to implement his ambitious domestic agenda. And Sara Duterte, the daughter of the outgoing populist president of the Philippines, has taken her oath as vice president today following a landslide electoral victory. This is SRN News.
Dr. Bill for Bay Area Medical, located at 6399 38th Avenue North in St. Pete, 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. Full-service clinic with x-ray, heart imaging, ultrasound, stress testing, and minor surgery. We provide quality health care in a warm and friendly atmosphere. We are multilingual, well-trained, and certified. Most American insurance and new patients accepted. Bay Area Medical, home of Can Care, 727-384-6411. 727-384-6411.
Dr. Bill here. With social distancing and sheltering in place, telemedicine is here. Bay Area Medical Home of Can Care Clinic offers telemedicine for new and established patients. You can see me without an in-office visit. Schedule an appointment at 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. When it's time for your appointment, type this web address into your cell phone or computer web browser, doxy.me/Bay Area Med. A cell phone works well and is all you really need. For computers, you need a web camera and speakers. We'll give you this address when you call for your appointment. We accept most insurances and travel insurances. Canadians and visitors, please call your travel insurance company for an authorization number prior to the visit. Co-pays and deductibles apply. Self-pay rates are available. Just ask. We accept credit cards, PayPal, and Stripe. 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. Dr. Bill here. My friends at St. Pete MRI and Sleep Diagnostics are your best choice for state-of-the-art MRI, CT, and sleep studies. Quality unsurpassed. 25 years experience makes St. Pete MRI my go-to imaging center. Self-pay rates are competitive and out-of-pocket cost a fraction of a hospital. Conveniently accessible from both sides of the bay at 750 94th Avenue North, St. Pete, near the Gandy. 727-577-2220, 727-577-2220.
Hey everybody, Mark Davis for Advantage Gold. Investing and protecting your retirement is a real challenge these days. Raging inflation, the hyper-volatile stock market. You don't have to sit and watch it all unfold. Thousands of retirees are safeguarding their retirements with physical precious metals like gold and silver inside their IRAs and 401ks. One company I trust for this, Advantage Gold, the #1 highest rated gold company on TrustLink 7 years in a row. For a free gold IRA investment kit, call Advantage Gold, 800-741-4653. Call 800-741-GOLD. Don't sit idly by while the stock market and inflation destroy your retirement savings. For a free gold IRA investment kit, call 800-741-4653. They'll answer all your questions, including if your current retirement account qualifies. Call 800-741-4653. Find out how easy it is to put precious metals in your IRA or 401k. Call 800-741-GOLD.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult your investment professional before investing.
Dennis Prager here for Brandon and Lindsay Rhymes, owners of the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams. Buying, selling, investing in real estate, their nationwide Keller Williams network makes them the best team to work with. Sellers, have your property featured live on air, creating multiple offers. Buyers, leverage a unique system that gets your offer accepted, never overlooked. Call or text 813-750-0550, 813-750-0550, or theconsumerqb.com.
AM 860, The Answer. Online at theanswertampa.com.
Odyssey.
Here is your exclusive Accuweather Forecast.
Today, mostly cloudy and humid. A heavy thunderstorm late this afternoon. Our high today at 93. Thunderstorm around early this evening. Otherwise cloudy. Low tonight 78. Partly sunny. Heavy thunderstorm for tomorrow. The high at 92. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy. Low 76. And then Tuesday, partly sunny. The high Tuesday at 93. That's your Accuweather Forecast. I'm Steve Williams for AM 860, The Answer.
All right, your mic is hot.
And I'm back. This is Dr. Bill. Got Joe by my side. We're doing a show. We're in the second half of the hoedown here, and I guess we got a winner, huh, Joe?
We do indeed. Actually, I thought this was a little bit more. This was going to be a little bit more challenging. We actually had two guys call in that had the correct answer, but the winner is our friend Jordan in St. Petersburg, and he had the correct answer. Now, Doc, before I tell you the correct answer, do you know the correct answer?
I do not. You're ahead of me on this one.
Okay. The question was, who was it that said that America always does the right thing after it's exhausted all other options? And that was Winston Churchill that said that about us.
Well, he was probably just mad because we came to the party late.
Yeah, but he nailed us, though. You couldn't be more right.
Well, I don't know. I think that it's a big country, and there's a lot of different factions and a lot of different policies that have come along. And I mean, first of all, you got to look after us. The first law, as you know. So we have to do what's in our best interest. And of course, this gets some of the people on the left upset. They don't like that. They think that we should be one world. Well, you know, if we're going to be one world, it's going to be under a dictatorship. You realize that. I mean, that's just an inevitability of it. But I think that, like any human beings, we make good choices and bad choices. But first and foremost, we got to take care of ourselves. I mean, if you don't look after your own family, then you're not a good parent, in my opinion. And by the way, it is Father's Day, so happy Father's Day to everybody, especially those of you people who are dads. And I think those are males of the species, aren't they? For the most part?
Generally.
I heard one pediatrician, and she said, you can't know the gender of a person until they're grown up and they make their own decision. I'm like, what? You got two X chromosomes or you got an X and a Y? It's that simple. Now, there are some rare genetic conditions where you can have confusion, and you can have hermaphrodites, and you can have the loss of sensitivity to testosterone at the end organs, and then you end up being phenotypically, that means the outside looks like a female, but you still have XY chromosomes, and guess what? You can't have a baby. You may have all the other manifestations of a woman, breast and female vagina and all that, but you don't have a baby. And Jamie Lee Curtis is a famous actress who actually has this syndrome, and so she is genetically a male, she's a female, and she was raised as a female, and she has the right to decide how she wants to identify, because she has an unusual and rare condition, and these things happen, but they're rare, and I don't think there's any reason whatsoever to try to change Mother Nature or the laws of Mother Nature. I mean, how are you going to do that anyway? Well, how could you possibly change the laws of nature? I mean, it's like saying 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4. It's like changing the laws of math and science. It's like defying gravity. Good luck. I mean, you can defy it, but it's going to take a lot of energy. Elon Musk is doing it every day. He's lifted off into space. So the White House is pushing back. You know, DeSantis pushed back against the White House because the White House wants to get, I guess, all kids under 5 or 6 now vaccinated. Did you see that?
Yeah, it sounds, yes.
And they were saying, well, you know, we've got vaccine and we're going to send it to every state. And DeSantis said, nah, no thanks, we don't need it. We're not interested. And so the White House is going directly to the doctors now, and they're saying, if you doctors want the vaccine, we'll just ship it to you directly. Did you know that?
I did not know that, but it, again, doesn't surprise me.
I mean, it's, yeah, doctors can order under 5 COVID shots directly from the government. Now, I don't know what's new about this, because I've been ordering this stuff for the past, 2 years now that we've had the vaccine out, a year and a half. And first of all, you have to sign up with your state, so it's kind of a silly thing. The way this works, Joe, is you have to sign into the Florida Shots program under the Department of Health. So you have to fill out all the forms online. You got to tell about your practice and your locations and your patient population. You have to say what you're willing to do and not do. You have to follow certain rules, and then you can order, as we did, the vaccine. So we ordered both the Pfizer and the Moderna, as you know. And one of my buddies down the street, he had a minus 80-degree freezer that they were using for research years ago that was just sitting there eating up his electricity. So I hauled that thing over to my office so we could keep the Pfizer vaccine, because that has to be at minus 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That's pretty chilly, by the way. You don't want to sit in there too long or you ain't coming out. And so you have to then go and you have to fill out forms not only for the state but also for the FDA and the CDC to be able to get the vaccines. And so you can say, oh yeah, you doctors, you can order it, but guess what? The state's not going to let you get it if you don't fill out all the forms. CDC is not going to let you, FDA is not going to let you get it, CDC is not going to let you get it unless you fill out all the paperwork like I did. And of course, it's like any bureaucratic situation, it's a headache to fill all that stuff out and to order the vaccines and get everything in, and then you have to store it. So I had to buy another freezer that was minus 15 to 20 degrees. A little one was, you know, nowhere near as expensive as a minus 70 degree. You know, those minus 70 degrees are $5,000 to $10,000 if you can find one, Joe, if you can even find one. So where are these doctors going to keep it? You're going to have to do all this, all these gymnastics, and it's just a bunch of baloney. It's just a bunch of PR baloney, and they're trying to make DeSantis look bad. And you know what? It's just making the White House look stupid.
Which is not the most difficult thing to pull off.
No, and you know, my buddy in medical school, his father said to me, he said, Billy, never underestimate the stupidity of your federal government. I like that. And you know, that's why we have a federation of states, Joe. That's why we have a First and a Second Amendment. And it's no accident that the Second Amendment comes right behind the First. You realize that. You realize they put that in order specifically so that it would be a reminder to the powers that be that in Washington that they don't make the decisions, we make the decisions. They just carry out our wishes, and if they get too heavy-handed, hey, we got guns. We'll come and get you.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are kind of put in place to make it very difficult for there to be a kind of heavy-handed overall authoritarian type control. Not totally impossible, certainly, and it seems like there's an aggressive push at it with each passing year. But it's not. It isn't even necessarily to thwart malevolence, which is kind of the point that you're making. It could just be incompetence. It could just be that people have really good intentions and really bad ideas. And so there's all sorts of roadblocks and guard posts and to keep from happening whatever dumb things they want to do, because they may mean well, they just may not be all that bright, or maybe they're overshooting their competence level at a given time, or whatever the case may be. But it isn't necessarily because they have evil intentions necessarily, however you want to define that. Could just be that they are biting off more than they can chew.
Well, I think that there's some truth to that, but I also think that there is some anger and malevolence involved with a lot of the left, and my sisters are prime examples.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
My sisters, especially my baby sister, she hates the United States. She thinks we're an evil country because we had slavery and Jim Crow and all that. And I'm like, well, that was the world back then. We were pretty much in line with the rest of the world in terms of outlawing slavery in the 1850s and 60s. And by the way, most of the North in fact, every northern state had outlawed slavery by the time the Constitution was ratified in 1787, 88, 89. So, this is a bunch of nonsense. And the literature that Thomas Jefferson wrote, the Declaration of Independence, that became a rallying cry for abolition of slavery around the world, Joe, around the whole world. Because of us, we ended slavery in a lot of the world. Even though parts of us did not end slavery until the 1860s, still, we are born of a good seed, and I'll argue with anybody about that. I don't think that there's any reason for us to hang our head down and say that we have done. You have to put it on balance, Joe. You got to balance the good and the evil. I mean, come on, nobody's 100% perfect. So, but I think the good we've done far outweighs the evil. And all you got to do is travel around the world. Everywhere we go in Europe, everybody wants Americans to stay. We don't want you to leave. You're a protector. You're a friend. You go to China, everybody wants to talk to you and practice English. You go to South Korea, everybody's like, don't pull out. Even though our president Moon, who's now gone, they've got a new president. I say we because now I guess I'm a part Korean. I've eaten so much kimchi now, and I know so many cuss words in Korean now because she calls me names in Korean.
Right.
I mean, that's what a wife does.
That checks out.
That checks out, that's right. And so they want to be close to us because look where they're sitting. They're sitting next to North Korea, China, and Japan, all three countries of which have been traditional enemies of the South Koreans and have attacked off and on over the centuries. And of course they're scared. And of course they want allies. And the new president realizes that. And so he said, bring all the defensive weapons that the United States had and Moon got rid of, bring them back. We want them. We want to be set up so that if North Korea fires a missile at us, we can shoot it out of the sky. Well, hell yeah. We don't want them shooting it at us, so we'll let you shoot them down for us before they get into the stratosphere. Works for me. So I think that we have to put it into perspective. There's nothing perfect in the world, Joe. Well, of course, except for you and me. But that's another story. But there's nothing perfect, and so we have to look at ourselves objectively and say, how can we improve ourselves and not say, oh, I'm evil, I should be destroyed like my sister and people on the left want to do, and we should be a socialist, a socio-fascist country like Russia or China, where there's a one-party state, there's a strong man at the top, and there's free enterprise as long as the state's okay with it. They'll let you have your own business as long as you don't interfere with them, and they get what they want from you. So, does that sound like the mafia? They get a cut?
It has all the elements. You know,
it has all the elements of the mafia. I thought
point
that was, it's just ridiculous. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, the point you're making, though, is that, and this is, anytime that I hear anybody that's kind of voicing that opinion about how terrible and rotten and evil and, you know, worthy of scorn America is, it's like, okay, look, even if I agreed with all of that, and I don't, because I tend to have the same attitude that you do, which is essentially that, okay, fine, nobody's perfect. It even says in the founding documents we're working towards a more perfect union because we recognize that we're not there, so we're always working. Yeah, we're working towards it. But okay, my attitude about that is, okay, let's say that in your mind we're just so imperfect and we're so terrible that we're worthy of all of this negativity. My question is really simple. Well, why are you here? Like, what is keeping you from going wherever it is that you want to go that's better? If we're so bad, then we're so bad compared to what? Compared to where? And if there's other places that are better than here, then,
go.
I mean, there's nothing stopping you from going there. And then
we'll pack you up and wave goodbye.
Yeah, and then from there, you can strut around and talk about how great wherever it is you are is, and that's cool. I mean, it's fine. Do whatever you want to do. But the notion that a lot of people have that, well, America is terrible, America is undeserving and unworthy, so we're going to do our level best to make it worse. I mean, there really isn't any
insane.
There's no logic to it. It's all based on emotion, and it's completely lacking in what you're talking about, which is any sort of historical perspective on these issues.
Well,
there's slavery happening today. There's slavery happening in the world today. And is there the same level of energy and because you could do something about that theoretically, right? You're living today. You could do something about the slavery that's happening in the world today if that was really what's important to you.
Yeah, and they're not doing that. And you got to put it into recent history perspective. Look at when we bugged out of Kabul. There were teenagers hanging on to the wheels of those big C-130s trying to get out of the country.
Yep.
You don't see any teenagers hanging on to the wheels of a 767 trying to get out of the United States. It doesn't happen. And you know what? You don't see Americans leaving in the tens of thousands to go to a better country, but everywhere in the world. I've had 2 or 3 Cubans who have come across the border illegally in the office recently. And, it's not my place to argue with them. I'm just there to be a doctor and take care of them. And they lambast Cuba. They say you just can't imagine how horrible it is. And they just can't believe that you have these opportunities. We went to dinner last night at a little restaurant in DeLand, Italian restaurant, and the guy's from Italy. He's from the Amalfi Coast, which is on the southwest coast of Italy, and that's that beautiful area with all the homes on the cliffs overlooking the Bay of Naples, and it's just a gorgeous area. And he said, I came here, I've got 2 restaurants now, and I couldn't even have started a restaurant in Italy. I could not have even gotten a license. You'd have to get paperwork out the kazoo. You have to wait until there's an opening because they only issue so many licenses. I mean, it's just, and this is Europe. This is free Europe, and this is almost every country in Europe has this problem. And people want to come here. They want to come here even if they're living in a first world nice country like Italy. They want to come here because there are people who want to achieve, and they want to excel, and they want to apply their wares and their knowledge and their ability to produce and manufacture and cook and operate and manage. And what greater tribute, what greater speech for the United States is that than people saying, we want to go to the United States, it's a better place to live. And nobody's leaving America. I don't see any. Do you see any mass migration out of the country, Joe?
No, I see a lot of mass migration to Florida is what I see.
Yeah, which is even freer than the rest of the country. So people are coming down here for more freedom. So it's not like people yearn for less freedom. I mean, that's insanity. And that's what you do if you destroy the United States. You're going to take yourself into less freedom. So it's really an unbelievable situation, Joe. I don't know. What are we going to do? We'll just have to keep working at it and stay strong and keep pointing out the little facts that the mainstream media doesn't point out, and keep talking with folks and keep pushing our narrative. And that's what we have to do. We have to stand up. We have to stand up.
Keep battling, right? And I think that there's something to be said for, we're kind of always in the mode of being at each other's throats about everything. I mean, if you look at our history, we are always fighting with each other. And while we're fighting with each other, we're also doing a whole bunch of really great things. I mean,
we're working out things too.
Exactly. So, I mean, things are, I mean, in many cases, things are very, very challenging, as we've got about 2 minutes left in this program. Speaking of challenges. But even though things are challenging and it seems like it's worse than it's ever been, it's not the worst that it's ever been. Civil War was way worse than now. World War II times was way worse than now. There have been times that are worse than what we're dealing with right now, and we were able to get through it. And I think that's kind of the secret sauce of who we are as people. We fight amongst each other, we tear each other down, and then we end up having this great, big, wonderful country. Even if maybe not half, maybe even if a large portion of it thinks that it's terrible, it's still pretty great, even no matter what they say.
Yeah. All right, Joe. I gotta give a shout out now to Cabin on the Lake. I don't know if anybody out there can see that, but it's Cabin on the Lake, 386-951-2684. That's 386-951-2684. And by the way, don't forget Dr. Bill is available for telemedicine, for in-office visits. We're accepting patients. I'm at 727-384-6411, 727-384-6411. And we have a very active practice. We have cardiology, general medicine. We also have rapid testing for the antigen and the PCR, Joe, for the COVID. So if you're going out of country and you need a PCR, we've got that. It's a 30-minute test and it qualifies for the PCR. So come in and get that. Again, that's 727-384-6411. How much time we got, buddy?
You're about 20 seconds, so you got a little bit of time to say goodbye.
Well, I want to say goodbye, and I want to thank everybody, and I want to give a shout out to Jordan for winning the mugs today. Good job, Jordan. You knew something I didn't. And I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Joe, I'm going to get out of here while the getting's good, buddy.
Take care, Doc.
You too, buddy.
Thank you for listening to Dr. Bill, your radio MD. Join Dr. Bill every Sunday morning at 9 for more insight, information, provocation, and fun. Dr. Bill Handelman practices in St. Petersburg, Florida at Bay Area Medical Can Care Clinic, 6399 38th Avenue North. For your convenience, telemedicine appointments are available. Call his office today at 727-384-6411. That's 727-384-6411. Or visit his website at cancareclinic.com.